We're on. Good evening, and thank you for joining us to try out the latest release from Cadenhead's original collection release. My name's Cameron, and with me we have beside me Jess Morkel, who is the Retail Administration Coordinator for Cadenhead's, Grant McPherson, who is the Manager for Cadenhead Retail Limited, and last but not least, we have Jenna McIntosh, who is the export sales manager, or expert sales manager, as I nearly said. Both are correct, of course.
She is an expert.
Apologies, I do have a slight cold, so if I do mess up slightly, it's non-COVID cold, so don't worry. So if I do mess up, it's not any change to any other day, I suppose. So tonight we're going to try out 6 cracking drams from the release which was launched today. And we're going to have a talk about it. Please ask any questions. Jess has got the computer here, so anything within reason, of course. We'll be nice, yeah. We'll try and answer as much as we can, and we'll try and be as transparent as possible. But we want it to be a kind of relaxing night. Want you to enjoy the drams, and hopefully we can get a good chat about them too. So without further ado, I think we will start with it. And Jenna here is going to introduce the first one.
Yeah, so you should have all received your tasting packs. Hopefully you were all arrived safely. So you should have 6 samples, 2 CL samples within them, numbered 1 to 6. And we're going to start off with number 1, believe it or not, the Glen Elgin, 12 years old. And if you take the lids off, if anyone hasn't tampered with them already, there is stoppers that's used to stop them leaking. You can just pop them off with your fingers nice and easy. Use a spoon. Try avoid using a knife, it could get dangerous. Use your teeth if you really want to. But yeah,
I think we're avoiding using the teeth.
But yeah, let's get stuck into the Glen Elgin. So the Glen Elgin, well, our original collection, just to start off with, is available worldwide. So you'll pick this up in our Cadenhead shops from today. European shops, if you check with them when their order should be arriving. But yeah, we distribute this worldwide, so it's to non-shop markets as well. All our original collection whiskies are bottled at 46%, and they're large battings of around 5 to 10 casks at the moment. This one is 100% bourbon matured, most likely refill bourbon. It's not that often that we get first fill bourbon in to the distillery, but I really enjoy this Glen Elgin. We tasted it not so long ago again, going over tasting notes and things, and I really feel that this one is a standout dram. It's not your typical Speyside dram. It's really fruity in the nose. We've got nice apples, and a little bit of the hoppiness that we've mentioned in the finish comes through on the nose as well.
Yeah, it's a cracking dram, I think, as well. We've talked about it before with Glen Elgin too. It's one of those distilleries that maybe does not get the same kind of showcase as a lot of the bigger names, but the spirit itself is cracking, and I think that's coming through. It's got quite a fatty kind of whiskey. Yeah,
it leaves a nice taste in the mouth.
Yeah. It's got a really nice oiliness that it leaves in the palate as well. I think with this one, you know, it is a proper standout dram for being a Speyside whiskey. But Glen Elgin, and a lot of what you'll see tonight, with the vattings that we are doing and the cask compositions, we're really looking at everything throughout, looking for a range of different ages, different distilleries per release, and seeing what we can actually do with the stock that the vast array of stock that we've got in our warehouses, re-racking, vatting them together. It's a long process, an enjoyable one as well. Not just because we're sampling all day. Cameron's
that does help. That does help.
It's really interesting what kind of well, this is Cadenhead's version of producing our very own product, and it can get really interesting when we're blending the samples together to see what can come out. You think, well, that's really good as a single cask, that's really good as a single cask. Blend them together, it's got to be good. Not always, you know. It's what cask works best with each one. But yeah, we found some 5 cracking casks, and Glen Elgin. It's
The cast management for this is fantastic. You know, it just brings everyone out what we want to showcase for this Glen Elgin. You know, you've got that light floral fruity notes to it. It's, you know, yes, it's got the Speyside characteristics there, but it is very Moorish and light, so it's quite refreshing as well. And it's a nice whiskey to start off with as well. And that's what we obviously think about the tasting as well, how it progresses on, what whiskey you're going to do first, and progress on up in flavour profile. It's all there, but it's nice, it's light, it's floral, fruity notes to it.
Nice little oranges.
Yeah, definitely as well. It has got that kind of sort of zestiness behind it as well. And as Grant kind of mentioned there, when you're looking to do a lineup for a release, sometimes the first one always gets kind of forgotten about at the end. Just because it's maybe at the start, it's probably because maybe some of the ones are maybe a bit bolder, or maybe it's a cast type that might kind of influence, that might sort of distract from it. But this is a cracking one that you'd have at any time of the year as well.
I think you'll find that as we go through the 6 drams tonight, you know, they're all cracking. I think this is a really good release, and by the time you get to the end, you know, we've got some big and bold flavours out there. And yeah, it's an all round
I
choice.
When we're choosing like releases like this, now being Scotland's oldest independent bottler, we obviously we've got thousands of casks from multiple different distilleries. We've got ones from around the world too, and we're very fortunate that we can get our hands on like multiple casks of this. You know, I think at the time we tried roughly about 20 casks of the same age at the time. We decided to choose one of them, which we thought was quite a standout for our warehouse tastings. And then we decided to try, we thought, we basically marked each cask on its own individual merits. And some of them didn't really deserve a single cask mentioned at that point. They weren't ready to bottle. They weren't bad, of course, but there was ones that were just going to leave from time. There was one or two that we thought maybe needed a bit of a boost. Now, after 12 years in a cask, you know, we decided at that point we'll maybe stick it into. I think we even put it in fresh bourbon just to kind of. It's a good whiskey that can work well with that. But then we thought we could maybe try some for the original collection, and we thought some might help. They might not be outstanding themselves as a single cask, but when you vat cask together, what can happen is they can actually help compensate each other and can merge into quite a nice dram actually. And we tried quite a few. It was myself and our director of sales, Ranald Watson, who were doing the vatting, but we're also trying to get the sales team involved a lot more too. So we did, I think in the office, we tried quite a lot of these ones as well, you know, so different variations. What do we think with this 5 cask variety? We'll try the 6 cask variety. You know, well, maybe that one didn't help. So there is there is a process that's involved with it. And everything that we try as well, we always start off trying it at cask strength first. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes if it was better at cask strength, we wouldn't have bottled at this. But then we try reducing it. And what can help is the reduction can then help open it up. It can help give flavours that you might not have noticed before, or maybe a bit closed because of the higher alcohol strength. And from this one, we thought it was just a cracking, you know, good drinking whiskey. In fact, I've bought one myself, so if I've opened my wallet, you know, it's I'm quite happy with that.
I've been going on about this one for some time as well. And it's we've actually got as Cameron said, the Glen Elgin in the warehouse. It's actually in the warehouse this afternoon, and you just I've not been in for a few weeks, but gives you a wee reminder and the difference between a single cask and the vatings. I mean, even if you do sister cask tasting, each one, you've got similar characteristics in there, but everyone is different. You'll find something special or unique within many, and then others, you know, maybe not so. As Cameron says, we'll re-rack them, put them into different woods, give them that boost that they need, revisit them at a later time.
Cask management is key to it, and it's just there is keeping an eye on the cask, how they're maturing on, and you know, seeing if we feel what ones stand out and which ones need to be boosting, so maybe a change cask type, etc.
It's a tough job. It really is. It's having to keep sampling them. Have any comments at all from that one?
Yeah, we've got Ruth Ashton Ward says it's a breakfast dram. We've got a good question here. Why is it Glen Elgin Glenlivet? some of your bottlings have a hyphen Glenlivet?
That is a very good question. The suffix you'll see on some of these whiskies, especially from the kind of Speyside area, it's more a historical reason for it. Now, a lot of these distilleries, when they were founded near the Glenlivet region at the time, where Glenlivet Distillery is as well. And in the 1800s, that was kind of known as a kind of a region as well before Speyside was Speyside. And Glenlivet itself was a very popular whiskey, especially with maybe some of the richer population, the kind of the hierarchy of the country, and a lot of the distilleries around the area decided to maybe piggyback on that. So on the success of it, so the likes of Glen Elgin, they were in the area, so it was Glen Elgin, Glenlivet. Now it might have been a case, if I can only take a guess, but maybe it was, I'd like to have a Glenlivet, please. Yeah, here you go. Here's a Glen Elgin, Glenlivet for you. So this was okay though. Glenlivet did actually allow this, and I think we've actually got paperwork, I think, still that it shows the money that they actually transactions from a lot of these distilleries. You likes of Glen Elgin, you've got Cadenhead, Macallan was Macallan, Glenlivet as well. I think Glenfarclas was Glenlivet, I believe too. So there's a lot of distilleries that did that. And they used to pay, I think it was like £1 a year to get the name. So, but then I think about the 1960s or 70s, I think Glenlivet was owned by a company called Seagram's, and they decided to stop that because whiskey was becoming a bit more popular. They thought there might be a bit of confusion with that. But by that point, a lot of these distilleries had become more established. They decided, rather than going to court and having to fight it, it was easier just to drop the suffix Glenlivet as well. So most of them did it.
It's also back in the day as well that whiskey was basically made for blending purposes. It was likes of Cadenhead, Gordon MacPhail that built up the single malt market. Distillers basically made whiskey, and so it's just kind of trading wise as well. So get on the market, and yeah, they're sort of traded as a Glen Elgin, Glenlivet, and eventually distilleries started building on their own single malts and coming on the market and stuff. So
a good way to get your name out there. So I think will we move on to drum?
I think we will do.
So I think many of you may recognise Grant. He's been around for a while. Maybe not. Maybe not so much more recently with Cadenhead, but Grant has transitioned over to the greener side. Cadenhead's green, of course.
Back to the good side as well. So
from Springbank, and he's working alongside us. So I think Grant will tell you a little bit more about what he's going to do and introduce the next dram.
Yeah, so, well, as everybody knows, my name is Grant McPherson. I worked for the company now for about 22 years. Seems to be sort of every 7 years I change role within the company. But started off working in the Cadenhead whisky shop. For the last sort of 7 years, I was travelling around the UK, being the UK sales manager. But I've been given a sort of new role and in charge of the UK Cadenhead shops and our online shop as well. So jump back into the Cadenhead sales team. Mind you, when I was the Cadenhead sales team. When I was there, it was just me. But now the team has grown so much.
See, we actually sell things nowadays, so we had to expand slightly. And obviously having Grant, the team as well with us, with myself and Jenna too. As you can see, we've went a bit heavy-handed tonight, and we've also got the fourth member too. So
I believe this was Jess's favourite dram as well. So
yeah. So this is a Heaven Hill 12-year-old at 46%. It's an American bourbon, and it's from Kentucky. So this one you can really smell like the strawberries, the sweet strawberries in it. To start off with, it's a really it's quite soft on the nose.
Nice artificial sort of strawberry sweet.
Yeah. I know, it's great. Really does open up once it's been sitting in the glass a bit.
That's something as well about what you're saying, it sits in the glass. It's always discuss about the first whiskey. We always try and go back to the first whiskey we tried during tastings. But the same idea with like the bourbons and stuff. Let it sit, let it breathe in the glass. It totally opens up and changes. Mm-hmm. And this one's another cracker for that as well. Even warming the glass up. I know some people say about, do you like to breathe and what it's ideal temperature to try different whiskies at. It's amazing how much whiskies change by letting it breathe and warming up in your hand, etc. And this one here, certainly I find totally opens up, and that lovely bourbon influence just comes through on the definitely the nose and the palate as well.
Yeah,
And it's one you keep wanting to go back to.
Yeah, the palate's great. I get a little spiciness on the palate in the background.
It's a nice kind of spice, not like an alcoholic.
Yeah,
It's just a nice kind of spice to it.
Yeah, it's like dark chocolate as well. Like dark chili chocolate.
It's got a really nice sweetness to it. I think comparing to some of the other Heaven Hills that Cadenhead have bottled, I've really enjoyed this one. A little bit younger than what we've done in the past. And it's some previously we've done 23, 28-year-olds, I think.
Yeah, but generally pretty older ones. So it's, and even then for a bourbon, it is still, it's a good age, still 12 years old. It's something a bit different to the ones, which are maybe the older ones you get, maybe a bit woody, but some of these ones I've spent some time in America. We couldn't tell you exactly how long it's had. It could be in another country as well, in transport, It's been here roughly, I think, at least maybe 4 or 5 years anyway.
Yeah, I think it's definitely mellowed it out, like sitting in Scotland for a bit.
Even the tropical climate here.
Yeah, so hot.
But I've just also, some of you might not know Jess. Jess is a retail administrative coordinator, and she's been with the company now since 2017, handling a lot. Basically, Jess has been probably the mastermind how to get Cadenheads from Campbelltown to pretty much all around the world, and the fact that she's put up with us for a long time too.
I don't know if anyone's caught on yet, but she's got an English accent.
Yeah, I'm not quite taking on the accent yet.
It's a southern Campbelltown accent. That's it.
Okay.
But
some Campbelltonian twang.
Yeah, there's a twang in there.
But Jess is now for the last year or so, just about,
just under a year.
has been our liaison basically with our shops within Europe as well. So we've got franchise shops in Europe too. So we decided to get her more into it, and you've obviously wanted to come into the team a bit more. So we thought, why not? Showing a keenness. The fact you've not strangled us yet as well.
Not yet.
It's always a good sign. But
that's what we're seeing on camera.
But it is something as well that even in the last couple of months, some of the bourbons we've tried, you've been quite a fan of them too.
Yeah, no, there was I think it was a Tennessee in the last authentic, and it was brilliant. It really opened my eyes up.
Was that the 18-year-old?
Yeah. No, it was great. But there's advance notice, and if you can get that from joining the club. The club is £50 membership, and it's a lifetime program, isn't it? So you get the benefits of advance notice, you get the exclusive bottlings, and there's just so much to the club that we want to bring to everyone.
And the fact that you're now heading the club as well, so Jess will be
rolling it out.
I think even the tasting packs tonight, Jess came up with a fantastic idea that we'd never thought of before. But we never thought on it. But yeah, club members with that advance notice, I think they got it at a discounted price.
Yeah.
Ahead of the general public sale as well. So if you were that 1 week later, join the club, your £50 lifetime membership, and you'll get a lot of more benefits that we're looking at.
There's a lot to the benefits for it. Yeah, as you say, it's only £50 for lifetime membership, but getting that advance warning of what's coming available, latest news, what's happening in the company, etc.
It just gives you a chance to get in touch with your Cadenhead shop. Jess and Grant, especially Jess, has, over the last year, has been working closely with the shop. So get in touch, get that notice, reserve a bottle, and you'll not miss out. You might the odd time, depending on the amount of bottles available, but it's really, really good. So Jess is definitely getting stuck into that kind of stuff and giving the club members just that wee bit more attention.
No, I think the last couple of years, and I'm not going to talk about COVID, but it has been difficult. There's no getting away with it from it. Sorry, and it's not that we've been neglecting the club, but it's maybe that we have. It's maybe we've not been doing as much as we want to with it as well. And initially, 2 years ago, we were talking about it, that we were actually going to go on a kind of roadshow round to visit more with the shops in Europe as well. We could do more tastings for the club. And things like this we want to do a bit more of as well. And I think it's going to be more of a. It is one thing COVID's actually done with the likes of the online tasting, which I think even when it first started, we weren't sure, is this going to last? Is this going to be something that's just going to be a fad for a bit? But it's still taken off, you know. And I think even tonight, I think we had about over 200 packs, and they sold out. You know, so that's tremendous. And it was very, very quickly done. And so a big thank you as well for doing that too.
Yeah, look what it's brought. We're sitting in a fancy new studio.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
We're getting fancy.
Or some of you might have thought these were giant casks behind us, but no, this is our new in-house warehouse studio.
Yeah, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah.
I think we surprised ourselves.
It's also a lot warmer in here than in the real warehouse. So, yeah. So,
Yeah, hopefully you're not hearing a little buzzing noise in the background. Obviously, you might hear the internet's working away in the background, but
I thought you meant Nathan.
yeah, we've not mentioned Nathan. Actually, Nathan's working away there. We've got to say a big thank you, Nathan. We always do. Works hard in the background.
For those that don't know, Nathan is our group digital marketing executive. It's easier for somebody to say who's not got a block nose. And he's been a stalwart with us for a long time. He's, especially during festival times, especially the virtual festival times, he's been behind every single tasting and been the man. This studio is a godsend. You don't need to, you're not getting dragged about every single warehouse running cables through. So this is also a kind of a thank you as well for that. But yeah, no, cracking dram as well.
Yeah.
And also to showcase the different styles. It's not just whiskey we'll bottle rum, cognac, Armagnac. In fact, we might have some other slightly other types of American whiskies as well coming up soon, but I don't want to give too much away.
And I think this is a great addition to the original collection.
Yeah.
I think previously we actually, in the last original, we had the English whiskey as well, which was a peated one.
Of course, that was great.
It was tremendous.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that was maybe the first kind of outside Scotland one for the original, so a nice follow-up from this. Is this Heaven Hill? And yeah, perfect. And I think it'll open up a lot of people's eyes to
I think that's a good thing about these tastings too. Some people might not have tried bourbon before, or may not are used to different bourbons, or maybe it's just that even once you drink bourbon, it's still a different style because it is literally a small batch. It's more of a small vatting of 5 casks in this one too.
Yeah,
you know, so it's still relatively unique. It's still relatively small, you know, compared to hundreds of casks getting vatted together. So it's not one that you can really repeat. You know, I know single casks are very unique, and you know you can never repeat a single cask, but so are these original collections. They are, you know, as you said, 5 to 10 casks. I mean, it's very, very little. It's such a small amount, but it's about the kind of quality that we're looking for rather than the quantity too. Yeah, so we move on to dram number 3.
Yeah,
I think that's me, this one actually. So dram number 3, if I can find where it is. So we are going to Speyside again, and we have a 12-year-old from the Inchgower distillery. Now, Inchgower, owned by Diageo, it's mainly the production's mainly used for the blend. I think Bell's is quite a big component in Bell's whiskey too. But I mean, we've stored, and we've got Inchgowers in house and bottled ones over the years. You know, that don't taste anything like Bell's, because obviously there's a lot of other whiskies that moved in. They're vatted together to produce those blends. This one is a bit of a strange composition. It's 60% of it was sherry cask we used, 20% was bourbon, and another 20% was Madeira. And I remember when we're trying out the different compositions, and a lot of the time when we're bottling or like looking for vattings for original collection, there's a lot of samples involved because we've got so many different whiskies, we've got so many casks of them, different ages, that you need to taste to see how each one's going on. And I think with this one, we had at the same age, we had about, I think it was 4 sherry casks, a Madeira cask, and a bourbon cask. So when it comes out, the first intention is we're not meaning to use that as a vatting, and we were just literally evaluating each cask to see how they were. Now, they actually were all pretty decent, to be honest. There wasn't one that was like, maybe it wasn't one that was an absolute standout that you might go, that's a single cask, but they were still pretty good. So we thought, we'll maybe do a smaller sherry vatting. So it'd be the 4 sherry casks together. And it was okay. You know, it was maybe, the sherry had maybe dominated a bit much. So then the next obvious thing to do would be to add the bourbon into it, which again, it helped out a little bit. It helped to kind of give it maybe, to help soften the sherry slightly, but it was still a little bit much, and it was maybe lacking a little bit of body. Then we thought, let's just try the Madeira in it anyway. Not in the vatting at the time, it's literally little sample bottles because it'd be quite an expensive mistake if that didn't work out. And the Madeira cask just helped bring up a totally different flavour profile for it. Even though it's only, you know, a small amount of the actual vatting, it made a huge difference. It gave it like, I don't know, more of a spicy note, but it gave me that kind of dark chocolate, kind of pineapple.
There's so much going on in the nose, and that
you get the nose with the nutmeg and the kind of fig and things. That's the kind of Madeira kind of working in there as well, like, and just the sherry kind of as well too.
It's quite warming as well.
Yeah.
And inviting, it's one of them that I think you can get a bit of the sherry, Madeira, and the bourbon. You know, you expect to maybe lose something in there, but no, this one I think you're pretty much getting what it says in the tin.
Sometimes when you're mixing different cask types together, are they going to fight against one another, or are they going to sort of mix well? And this one does, it mixes well. And you say before, you can get the sherry cask, Madeira, the bourbon, it's all there on the nose, the palate, it's all coming through nicely.
If I remember rightly, there was a lot of Inchgower a few years ago that we tasted there, a couple of years ago. It was pretty immature.
Yeah, I mean, again, like with Grant was mentioning the cask management. You know, being an independent bottler, each cask, we don't produce our own whiskey, obviously, so we're buying casks from other distilleries. You know, so you're hoping that what you get is going to be of good quality. If not, you know, that's when you've got to act. And we're very fortunate that we have our sister company, Springbank and Glen Elgin distilleries too, because they will be buying like empty casks to fill up their spirit in. And that means that we can also purchase casks more on bulk to save costs too. So we can buy like sherry casks along with them, and like Madeira wine casks, or even just the fresh bourbon casks too.
We also help them out with ex-bourbon cask and ex-rum cask.
Oh, definitely. We help them out with a lot, don't you worry.
This is why we welcome Grant.
And so I mean, where was I going there? So we're going back to the Inchgowers. So we were trying these Inchgowers a few years ago, and they literally were like that water. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't judge anything the colour. It could still be good. No, it was pretty much like new make spirit still. You know, and if you've got that at like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, you know, you've got to act, because if it's been in a cask even for that length of time and it's did pretty much nothing, you know, a lot of the casks you might get coming in are pretty much holding vessels. They're all the life's been used and the flavour's gone from them. And don't get me wrong, that can work a lot. Like of the Glen Elgin, those casks were not that active, but they were active enough to help them a good spirit mature. The Inchgower ones that we had just maybe didn't, so that's when we kind of re-racked them into fresh Oloroso casks.
Yeah, I think I was quite pleasantly surprised. I think I maybe tasted this and then realised it was Inchgower, and I thought, what?
The ones we tried.
Yeah.
Then once we tried a few years ago.
It was, there was a few eyebrows raised. There was.
But no, I think that's again another really good composition that was put together. Yeah. And interesting as well. You know, there's still that interest and plenty going on. Lots of flavour.
Even I find this one, even though it's reduced to 46%, adding a little drop more water does bring out more of the fruitiness to it as well. And that's the great thing about experimenting and adding water. And that's, we always say, it's the it's a drinker's option if they want to add water. I always say try it without water first, but if you feel it needs a wee bit of water and it's nice to experiment, just remember you can't take it away after you've added it. But certainly for this one, I find adding a wee splash more water just totally opens it up again.
It's as you say, like just to mention that, like even at 46%, there is it's a different way of drinking whiskey as well. There's I have read, this is our 4th release of the original collection, and there's a lot of comments saying people think it's because it's reduced to 46. Like we've got our authentic collection, which is cask strength. A lot of our whiskies are maybe cask strength or a higher percentage. This can be, I've seen quotes of beginner's whiskey, or what was the other one? Budget whiskies. And I don't agree with that at all. It's more to say that. I think it's also a bit insulting to people who might only drink own bottlings, who are at 40 to 46 or 48% or whatnot. It's about flavour, and sometimes adding water into it can actually help open up flavours and get little nuances that you never got before. Because I've tried countless amounts of single casks, and it's not always the be all and end all. It's a different way. There's not one that's the better way. You can't say I've tried amazing single casks, I've tried amazing bottles, not just from ourselves, like from other distilleries too. Some of the best whiskies or the go-to whiskies I'll go to are at 43, 46, 48%. It's how you can try and make a whiskey and try and get it. And it's not just for beginners. It's not just a budget whiskey. I'd encourage anybody who's been drinking whiskey for a long time, or who only drinks cask strength, or mainly drinks cask strength. It's about trying to find the flavour, and that's it. It doesn't matter the strength of it. I mean, some whiskies at 41% are really good. You
can debate that with the single malt against blends. Don't touch blends. So, have you tried this blend? No, I'm a single malt man. But experiment, try different whiskies, and you do some cracking blends as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, single grains, blended Scotch, blended malts. There's so much out there, and it's building that understanding. Drink what you enjoy.
It's a versatile drink. There's different ways to enjoy it. And as I said, we've not done it to reduce price or just to get more out of it, because there seems to be a myth that obviously you'll pay more the higher the strength is. Of course, you're going to pay more in duty. But I think there's this sort of feeling that if it's at 54%, you're going to pay £40 more than what it would be at 46. It's not that much of a jump. It is more about the flavour. It's a different style. Yes, it maybe be seen as, there's a lot of people who don't like cask strength whiskey or higher strength whiskies. Again, from that, I don't think there should be an ultimate. People say I don't drink cask strength. There might be cask strength whiskies that you might like. I don't drink reduced whiskies. There might be some reduced strength. I don't drink blends. There might be, I don't drink grain. I always think never rule yourself out with anything from it. And it's about just a different way of doing it. And I would never ever think that it's a beginner's whiskey or a budget whiskey or anything. It's just another way of drinking whiskey, and it's about trying to find different flavours from it. And I think that's what I think it's been done pretty well too. Any comments at all?
We've got some saying that the Heaven Hill is their favourite so far. And Matthew Richardson says he's a fan of the original collection. Great to have a change from the cask strength.
Yeah, I think that's too. You don't want everything to be out at cask strength. It gets boring. You've got the authentic collection.
Oh, easy. When the next authentic collection comes out, cask strength's king.
Well, yeah, of course. But this bottling, we've got the 46% range here, which is all tasted at 46% before we decide to bottle it as well. We believe it's best bottled at 46%. Otherwise, we wouldn't bottle it at all. But yeah, we've got the variation there, so it's not duplication. It doesn't get boring. It's not the same one after the other, month after the other. There's the difference here.
It's generally a bit of fun as well. See, making the composition for these, because we don't distill our own whiskey, of course, but because we've got the access to all these casks that maybe a smaller independent bottler could only get maybe a couple of them or one or two to have to sell instantly. We've got the chance to actually create. It's as close to creating a whiskey as an independent bottler can get, I think. Like, you know, because we can then try and change a different cask. You know, like some of the ones we've done in the past with the Tom and Tulls and the Ardmore and the Glen Talkers. You know, we're trying different styles. You know, it's a good bit of fun actually.
You look at it as well. You can download of, you know, where these casks stored. Obviously, most of our casks are now stored here in Campbelltown as well. So we've got that opportunity to take samples of them on a regular basis, see how they're maturing and stuff. A lot of distilleries use a central belt warehousing, and that. So, you know, if they're shooting a sale at the belt, just get them down to Campbelltown so we can keep an eye on them ourselves, which is beneficial for us as well.
It keeps Cameron happy too.
Yeah. Stop. Not that I ever moan at all, but
this week has been murder.
Yeah, I was nearly working from home again.
Oh, they came back in the office 2 weeks ago, last week.
Yeah, last week. Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
Jess was dying to get back to the office as well, so I don't know how we've got it up with Cameron.
Oh, wait a minute.
Traffic's not been too bad. It's been ill.
Is there any comments about Inchgower at all? Any?
Inchgower reminds so far this Inchgower reminds me more of its experimental than regarding taste of that weird Benrinus you bottled a few months ago.
In a good way.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And with that too, you know, like some of the ones that you bottle, when you're doing it, some of you've got to look at it from different tastes, because when somebody says, kind of like what the kind of rant I had earlier on about don't just judge everything. I've never ever discount a distillery either, because some people say I might not like distillery X, but they might have 1,000 single casks. You probably will find one that you might like, you know, or they might find a way that you can get. It just might not like how a particular bottling, the composition of that is. And when we're bottling them, you know, we're looking for something that's maybe a bit fun, a bit different, or, you know, something that's of good quality. But you don't bottle just anything just for the sake of it. There's something behind it. And yeah, you can second guess yourselves a lot of the time. And that's why we ask the team as well. We try and get as much input as possible, because, you know, it's so diverse. And sometimes you will get a time where somebody goes, that's really good. It's not for me. I think it's okay. Or you might go, that's tremendous. And you can get 4 completely different reactions. Generally, that's just myself within the first 10 minutes. But when you ask about, you know, you might get people saying different things as well. And that's the thing, you know. And being an independent bottler, with a tasting, you're doing different distilleries. So it's not like you might have for easiest sake, our sister company, Springbank. Generally, if somebody's doing a Springbank tasting, they know what the spirit's like, they know what the flavour's like. They're probably going to be there because they know they're going to like it. We're trying 6 different distilleries. There might be a chance you might not like any of them. There could be a chance you love every one of them. It might be a mixed bag. That's the fun thing about working as an independent bottler too.
But the Andrew J that mentioned the Benrinus says, "Don't worry, I meant it as a compliment."
I wasn't. Thanks. I'll send the brown envelope in the post. Brilliant. I think we've got the next one. I think, yeah.
Sounds good, yeah. So we're going to move on to number 4, and we're staying in the Speyside region, but this is an undisclosed distillery. So yes, we're not saying the name of it. It's 13 years old.
Please don't say the name of it.
I'll try not to. I was like, what can I say? I can't even give it any clues, because you'll pick up what it is. It's from Speyside. It's 13 years old.
Nathan's got the beep ready, don't worry.
We've actually pre-recorded this.
But for me, this one, it's like Christmas in a glass, because you've got that dark fruits, you know, Christmas cakes, sultanas, nuts, raisins. Everyone's there about it. And it's just big, bold, and wonderful. Again, it's not any sulphur notes to it, but it's a lovely sherry whiskey. It's a mixture of first filled sherry and refill sherry as well. So it's all also sherry casks. So you can chew on the nose, the palate, the sherry influence is there, but there's a lot going on to the nose and the palate as well. It's one you sit back and enjoy. I've got to say, well, remember, this has been selling really well online today and through the shops, but there is some more going available after the tasting on the Dot Shop website. So if Nathan reminds me after tasting, I will click the button and make more available of this one here, because so all these whiskies will be available to purchase online after tasting. But yes, I've made this one. It's behind the scenes just now, but I'll click the button to make it available after tasting.
And this is a really, I really enjoy this one. A wonderful finished whiskey. It's got really well balanced. You know, you're getting the distillery character in there. You're not losing the whiskey. You're getting.
Which distillery character?
You're not losing anything amongst there. You know, you've got a good balance of whiskey, the sherry in there, and I think that's probably the influence with using the 2 refills and first fills as well. But yeah, I quite enjoy this.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed all of them. I say that all the time.
These ones actually, we probably could have. They've just worked really well together. The refill sherries actually were probably better than the first fill sherries. It did, you know, and on a personal note, you know, a refill if you gave me the perfect whiskey or one that I would probably more go to, the bourbon Glen Elgin is the kind of like my go-to. If not, you would probably go personally maybe a refill sherry to help soften the notes too. But the refill sherries were pretty good actually as well. But the balance of the when they were made up together, it just worked. And it's one of these ones where we always, you know, if an exceptional cask, we'll put it towards authentic collection. I'm probably just been a total hypocrite here, and we probably could have used, like, you know, at least one of those two as a single cask at the time, but it really worked well. You know, it did. This one I do remember though, at cask strength was quite sharp. It was quite sharp, not bad, but it had a tang. The water did actually really help to soften it, to open it up as well. But it's a good whiskey, this one.
Yeah, it's a nice sort of, you know, good Speyside mature and sherry whiskey. That's the best way to describe it. And then you see different, you know, palates. Like more, what I go for is bourbon mature whiskey. Asked me that question 10 years ago. It was, I like the heavy sherry whiskies. But that's the thing when we're doing the tastings and looking at the range of whiskies. We want a kind of variety to appeal to a wide audience of people. You know, there's a huge audience who love heavy peaty whiskey or the heavy sherry whiskies, but there is cracking good matured bourbon whiskies, and there's a market there for it as well.
Something I've learned in the journey over tasting and enjoying whiskey just by working with Cadenheads, and you know, I could never say I've got a favourite. I always learn something else. Or previously I would have said sherry whiskies I tend to avoid in case they've got that sulphurness, or if the tannins are coming through too much for me. Maybe I'm a wee bit more sensitive to it. But
you're not sensitive, Jane.
But there's something out there for everyone.
There is indeed,
as well. But and again, this collection's pretty good for
you know,
that.
Yeah, it's tasting. You know,
Interesting, keeping everybody interested and intrigued, I suppose, how these work and go together.
I think variety is the kind of key to that one. You want to try and. Not everybody loves. People like sherry. People might not like the Madeira one. People might not like the bourbon. People might not like the peated one or the wine cask one or whatnot. That's why it's there. It's hopefully there's something there that you might enjoy, and that's part of it. Is to try and give a variety, but it's also to try and give something that you think is going to be of good quality. Because if you just bottle everything that only you want to drink, then you're probably going to get a bust business in quite a short space of time.
That's it. After tasting, you don't really want one clear winner. You want, there's quite a number of people went for that one there, and number 5. Because if you use like 100% people want number 4, then you just may as well bottle one style of whiskey. So that's what you're trying to think. Okay, the different markets and different taste profiles. But I think we've done pretty well with this one here, getting hit a wide variety of people. This was always going to, in fairness, it's always going to be you want it to be one that will go under the radar, but it's a tricky one. You know, if anybody ever finds, you know, it's a sherry whiskey, it's always going to be one of those
that people are going to go to. But the thing is, at least it's a go-to, but a good quality whiskey too. It's not just because it's a dark colour and it's sherried. It's got good flavour behind it. It's got
Vibrant as well.
exactly very.
And it's a good one. We've not named the distillery on this. I'm
We're doing well.
I thought we were going to avoid this part now.
No, I'm a great believer of like blind tastings and stuff
Yeah.
as well. And most people we know have not got distillery name on there, so they're tasting it, enjoy it. You buy a bottle of it. You know that's what it's about. You enjoy it, drink it. It's not about much more than that. It's enjoying your dram and taking it from there. Really.
That was the.
We've got Carol. She says, lovely complexity in dram 4. I get Christmas flavours, but there's also a hint of juiciness and fresh fruits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good one.
Inchgower has hints of aniseed when you go back to it.
Do that well.
We've got one question here. Was the full maturation sherry or a finish?
For the which one?
For this one.
This one, the refills were in, I think, for about going at the top of my head here. I think it was about 2018 or 2019, and the first fills were 2019. So it wasn't a full maturation as such, but at the end it was quite heavily sherried. With the cask type, it was pretty sherried. In fact, to be honest with you, one of the things we're going to do, if we didn't do the composition, if it's the right one, I'm pretty sure it's this one. We were talking about.
Anyway.
Ranald will remember. I'm pretty sure me and Ranald talked about actually putting it back into an ex-bourbon cask just to try and mellow it out again and do a kind of almost reverse maturation, because sometimes a cask can be overactive. Sometimes we've got a cask we tried recently that's been seemingly in a first fill sherry for like 7-8 years, and it looks the same colour as that water there. You can get one that's maybe been in for 6 months and it can get overactive. So we really do need to kind of look after it. You can't just assume, because each cask can be so different. But the refills were really good too. They were so. I love a refill sherry anyway, but they were really, really good. But the addition to just gave it that extra kind of layer, that extra layer of sweetness, and probably gave it more of a bit of a fuller body as well. So
yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with that.
No,
one at
definitely.
all.
And obviously, sort of going back to my job role as well, everybody probably remember that the Cadenhead Edinburgh shop, it was a franchise. But recently, over the last couple of years, we've been taking them back within the company. So Edinburgh is now under the Cadenhead remit, and we are in the process of renovating London shop. So Cadenhead London, by hopefully the start of April, will be open again and back and open and controlled by ourselves. And hopefully you'll see us all back in the shop, and we're doing various different tastings. Lots of plan for the opening as well. So watch this space, keeping an eye on our social media, etc. So.
Well, you've heard it here first. The pressure's on to get open for April the 1st
now. I'm confident.
Yeah.
It'll be open.
I've heard it's had quite a nice makeover.
Yeah.
Which
There's
will keep
a
you
lot
all
of-
interested.
Yeah, there's a lot of work going on to it just now. So yeah, watch this space, and so we're quite good to basically the Cadenhead's head office will control the Cadenhead shops within the UK and sort of manage them. So myself, I'll be in about sort of UK doing Cadenhead tastings and promoting the shops, etc. and stuff. So yeah, but lots to look forward to.
In fact, have you got a tasting coming up soon?
Oh, Glasgow.
Yeah.
What's that next week?
Yeah.
We've been looking forward to it.
I'm the only one not going, you see, so I'm getting left out of the
So yeah,
conversation.
we're nearly 2 years since we've been on the road. But Glasgow Whisky Festival, the Cadenheads will be there. A number of products. Jess and Jenna will be on a stand. I'm actually jumping back to Springbank for the weekend, but but yeah, I'll see Jess and Jenna in Glasgow at Hampden next weekend.
Make sure you pop by, say hello.
Say hi.
We've got a few drams on the go that will keep you interested, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Make sure to give them the most awkward questions you can too as well.
No, we're quite looking forward to getting back to a bit of normality. You know, we've begun to open up here in Campbelltown as well. Warehouse stations are on the go; they're available, and we're looking forward. Even the Campbelltown Walks Festival is due to take place in May, and we're looking forward to welcoming loads of people back. So Cadenhead's Day will be on the Friday. We'll also have the Cadenhead Club Taste on
Tuesday night, yeah.
Tuesday night. So I think we've got some quite interesting plans for it.
A few good ideas up your sleeve.
Yeah.
I think tickets will be available a little bit later, and more information will follow. So don't worry, you've not missed out on anything at all.
If you're in the Cadenhead Club, you will get first notice on any news and announcements as well. So that will also be quite short, I think. Excellent. So we're going to whiskey number 5. So this one is from the Ardmore distillery. Now, we bought quite a bit of Ardmore over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. It's one of those distilleries that kind of come out under the radar a bit. No, it's a well-known distillery. It's not exactly unheard of, but maybe compared to like the big names, your Lafroigs, Ardbegs, Highland Park, Springbanks, etc. You know, it's not one that's going to be if you went up to somebody in the street who maybe doesn't know much about whiskey, or even somebody who does actually drink whiskey. It's not maybe one of the most well-known, but it is a good quality whiskey too. And we've been very fortunate to be able to actually own, purchase and own quite a lot of stock of this as well. For ages, like some are fairly young to kind of their mid-teens now as well, and older. And this one is actually 11 years old, and about 2020, which seems a lifetime ago now. We actually we were doing tasting on a bunch of these casks as well, and we decided that 4 of these maybe needed re-racked. Now, for those that are not too sure what re-racking is, I think we explained slightly earlier on. It's when we will maybe change the spirit into a different cask because we feel it might need either a boost, a bit of body. It might need something to help give it a jolt to life. Really, sometimes it's not that it might not necessarily be a bad whiskey, but it just needs something to get it going. Because if not all wood, for any reason at all, the original cask, something might go wrong with it, or just might not help develop the spirit. So at the time, we had some spare Pinot Noir casks on the go, and so we put 4 of these Ardmore casks we're going to re-rack into them. Initially, the thought was maybe we will do an original collection in the future. We might be a bigger one. We don't know what we're going to do at the time, but initially we thought maybe in a few years' time. Now, after about 18 months, we did retry them, and they were quite well developed already with the wine cask, with the Pinot Noir. And wine casks can be quite polarizing within the whiskey world too. It can be a very love-hate relationship, especially maybe wine and peat as well, because Ardmore, the casks we use, are lightly peated as well. And it actually came similar to a range that's done by our sister company, Springbank, not intended to be like this, but like the Long Row Red series. But this is not why we did it initially. This is afterwards. We thought, well, maybe has a taste of it. So this Ardmore, it's quite a meaty whiskey as well. It's got caramelized sugar, kind of cured ham as well. But it's got the strawberry notes. It's got the tannins from the wine cask as well. It's the finish as well. It's got the.
Who said it was a bit of a beast?
That was me. Actually.
I think it was an agreement, but
it was a bit of a beast. It's one of those. It's one of those whiskies where we've tried it along with some of the staff. I know some of the shop staff here have tried it and have gone, "Well, that's tremendous." Too. What do you think? Yeah.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much on the nose, the palate. You know, is it peaty? Is it that red wine influence? There's tannins there. Is there a meatiness to it? So you're like, and it works really well together. But yeah, it keeps on going on, developing further on even the nose, the palate stuff. So
actually, having a bit of air there, as you're talking about earlier on, the nose has actually got a lot more I actually getting more of the smoke rather than the wine, because initially I got more of the wine, and now it's kind of more of the smoke rather than that too. But again, that's everyone's different. You might not
It's
feel that
just how
yourself.
it grows as it goes throughout as well. You know, it gets bigger as it goes on, but yeah, it's a complete beast. Like really,
It's great on the palate because you get this like sweetness, and then it just transforms, like the smokiness comes through after.
It's got that kind of strawberry note as well that you're gonna get with it. Is again, it will be a polarizing one. I knew that from the beginning, but the notes are good in it. It's not a whiskey. It's a style that might suit somebody. And I think when we say it's a bit of a beast, it's to try and kind of give you an idea of if you like that style of whiskey.
It's big, it's bold, it's wonderful. Very chewy as well.
It's very chewy.
You know, in the palate, some people think chewy. What do you mean chewy? Well, put it in your palate as if you want to chew on it, because it coats the whole palate, and there's a lot of your taste buds working away, trying to work out what is this I'm trying.
Well, that was something like in the journey of whiskey and everything. A lot of people would come up, oh, it's chewy, and I was going, chewy, what does that mean? And it's not until you kind of taste over and over again, and then you literally keep thinking, where are they getting this chewiness from?
Try whiskey,
and
you understand.
But as soon as you figure that out, and it brings it out, but it just goes along with tasting loads of whiskey or enjoying it. But you know, there's some elements in here. I do believe that this will be a favourite for many.
Yeah, no, and initially, even speaking to a few people, I know there's been a lot of kind of pre-sales with this one. When it was announced too, it seemed like one that appeals to people, you know, and it is one that you want to be honest too. When you go, you know, it's going to be a bit peaty, it's going to be wine. It's not to try and discourage you or anything. It's more that it is a style that it might not be suited to you. Don't mean it might be one that you try the first time and you go, that's cracking, you know. But actually, I like it. It's again, it's completely different to each of the ones that we've bottled so far.
Because they like peatiness, it's the recurrent flavour, and there's lots coming back, and that's something I really enjoy.
There's one you always want to sort of go back to. You're like, you know, what was that? And you just keep on revisiting it, and every time you put it on your palate, there's like different flavours coming through, and you're like, wow, I'm now getting that meatiness to it, that chewiness to it, that kind of red wine tannins coming through as well. So
it's more of the cured ham now. I'm getting again. It's really developed even in that short time.
I think this is the complexity that you get within this as well. There's just so much going on. We've maybe mentioned that a couple of, but this one there really is so much going on that it'll keep you know, the experts of experts intrigued. It's not one that you're going to get bored of, and you'll keep coming back to.
It's proven popular among the viewers. It's wonderful, says Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth.
Getting the pulled pork barbecue marinade with lots of brown sugar.
That's the old Jedi mind trick working there.
Yeah, no, I think even it's taken on a good colour. Not that colour's everything as well, but it's a nice balance between that as well, you know.
Any other questions at all? Any?
No questions yet.
Again, if anybody is, because we know there's a lot of people who we recognise and we've met over the years, and we hope to see again very soon. But we might have some new people here we've never seen before, never tried Cadenhead before. So feel free to ask anything. There's no such thing as a silly question, you know. We want to be as transparent as possible. We want to be open. Independent bottling is something that's still, let's be honest with you, it's still very, very a very small part of the whiskey world. You know, even though there's a lot of good things with it, but it's still one that the vast majority do not know about. So if anybody has got any questions, please ask away, and we'll try our best to answer.
I must point out that my uncle in Cheshire is watching, so thank you.
Cheers. Cheers, Jesse's uncle.
I'm sure there's a few relatives on there that'll be keeping an eye on us.
I'm pretty sure my mum will be keeping an eye on me. I'll get a roll later on for something.
Well, are we ready to move on to the final round?
Yeah, I think so.
So I think to finish it off for tonight, we're going to move on to the Caol Ila. This is 10 years old, dram number 6. And this one really doesn't need much of an introduction. Caol Ila, over in Islay, just across the water from us. And I think all I really need to tell you is the biggest vatting that Cadenhead have done so far, 10 casks of first fill bourbon as well. And this one, I think we spent a lot of time on putting the composition together before we decided
A lot of time.
let's bottle all 10 casks, because they worked so well together, and it was actually it was a unanimous decision. Remind me not to say that again at dram number 6.
What did he say?
We all agree.
But yeah, because if I remember correctly, it was before Christmas. At some point, I was a warehouse tasting. I came in and you had been tasting a lot of the single casks, testing them all singly, vatting various together. There was a bunch of 5. There was another bunch of 5. A lot of sampling going on for this one, and then
Just before Christmas.
a lot of fancy glass jars going about. But yeah, we had so many vattings put together, and it was, what do you think of this one? We revisited it the day after. So, I think that's quite an important point that we've been doing quite a lot. Is when we're doing these vattings and putting them together, it's revisiting them the day after or a couple of days after as well, just to make sure, is that what I thought? As Cameron says, opinions matter, so the more people involved is great as well. So quite often you can wonder, am I thinking the right thing here, or am I getting confused? And revisiting again is always a good.
It is, because you've got to think of it when you're sampling whiskey. What's your style of whiskey? But then, is there a market there for it as well? Is there a style of whiskey people like? There is that market there. I love the bourbon vanilla fruitiness to it, the sherry cask influence, and the peaty influence. So you've got to think of it on the marketing perspective as well. Yes, do you like it, but would other people like it as well?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why getting the sales team involved, and getting a few other people involved as well, the shop staff, just to get a majority vote on it, to get the opinions.
Yeah.
There's a nice maritime nose on this. It really stands out. Typically, what you would normally get from an Isla style as well. But sorry.
No. Sorry, I was.
you were
Apologies.
Sorry.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's subtle to start with. But what I really love about this is just how it grows throughout, right through to the finish, and you get all the smokiness grows. But I think compared to, this is a really great one as well, compared to some of the other Caol Ilas that we've bottled recently. We've got one in the warehouse. We've done a 9-year-old on the authentic collection recently at Cask Strength, and yeah, each of them have a character of their own. Some bigger and bolder, more smokier. This one, as I say, I think it starts off quite subtle and then it just grows.
That's a cracking point. Jenna's just made there. We had a parcel of casks, to maybe 20, 30 casks, I can't remember the exact amount. They were all sister casks, the same they were filled at the same day. And we picked one, it was quite bold, the one in the warehouse tasting. It's quite a big, kind of what you probably typically expect with that.
Jesse's favourite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of that.
And the
Not
one,
intentionally.
yeah, right. The one we did for the authentic collection, which you probably also had a lot of. Correct me wrong, it was more of a kind of subtler, softer, but quite creamy as well. It was quite a creamy one. And this one again, it's a kind of mix of the two. It's quite subtle. But it's not like subtle but boring. It's quite creamy. It's got that. It's got your typical notes. Your kind of saltiness, slightly maritime notes. The lobster creoles, all the old sort of stereotypical notes you're going to get. But it's a good dram. It really is a good whiskey, and it's got the smoke that you're going to get. The finish still goes. It's not a case of it disappears, and it just shows you that's 3 totally different styles from the same casks. Really, and that's what we talk about, like when we're trying different styles. Okay, 2 of them are, the warehouse and the warehouse cask we do in our warehouse tastings, and the authentic collection one are a single cask at cask strength, but they're 2 completely different whiskies. This one is different to them as well. So same casks, literally, but 3 different styles, and it just shows you how different whiskey can be and how versatile it can be as well. But no, it's a. One thing we've not talked about as well, and I don't know whether it's it is things like pricing too. I mean,
Just say price. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's was that £45 for
45.
That Caol Ila
Yeah.
can't be sniffed at.
Yeah.
It's and prices nowadays are going up and up. Being an independent bottler, there's a slight irony in that as we are quite dependent. We're dependent on distilleries selling casks and also what price they are. So pricing, we're dictated by markets and what we can buy and what we've got and how to be purchased. So with this too, I mean, this was not intended exactly for this range. It's just this one has been quite good. I mean, that's £45 for 10-year-old Caol Ila, and it's not something that you see every day. You know, it's if you said this 5-10 years ago, you might go, "Oh, that's a lot for a 10-year-old," but nowadays it's quite cheap.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the price of pasta 5 years ago. Look at the price of everything. Unfortunately, it's just going. It's not just whiskey. So it's for a good dram as well. You know, I think might get added onto the list now as well. I think.
I know, and the more you sip it, it just
Yeah.
brings you back. You know, we're trying to get further ahead with bottlings all the time, continuously looking at different casks, tasting, sampling. It's quite refreshing just to go back, enjoy all 6 of these products again when it's been launched, and give ourselves a reminder there as well. But yeah, the Caol Ila's absolutely cracking, I think.
Yeah, people are loving it in the comments. Islet in a glass. I like this comment. It's lit the fireplace after a bacon butty good.
There we go.
Very good.
Matthew Richardson says spot on. It grows in the mouth and it's lovely.
Excellent.
We did have a question. I maybe missed it. It was on about the Speyside, why it's undisclosed.
Might give
We're just not allowed to name it for legal reasons because the distillery themselves. Sometimes when you're purchasing casks, some distilleries will sell you whiskey, or you buy them through brokers or third parties. But for protection of their own product, they won't let you name it, and that's the reason why.
Keep it
No,
simple.
keep it simple.
try to catch us out there again.
Yeah,
Number 6.
I was just making sure you were still there.
We could further on that story. But we'll not.
But no, I think all around this original collection is, for me, I think even from the very beginning, is been resurrected from Grant's days. So we've brought the original collection back. We've brought Grant back. We're bringing a few old things back. Cameron's still hanging about here. He's getting old though.
Well, we were the oldest independent bottler. We were founded in 1842. Grant worked in the shop from that point onwards. So.
Well.
The OG of the
OG.
team.
But again, like this as Jenna mentioned earlier, this range is going to be available internationally. It's available in our Cadenhead shops as well, which we've got the one in Campbelltown, Edinburgh, soon to be London again.
Baden, Cologne, Berlin, Odense, Milan, and Vienna.
Well done, I tested you on the spot there. And
got it.
always, I mean, these guys have been supporting Cadenhead for many years. There's the map of the shops there too. Really good people. Advise you to go and visit them. They'll help you out and show you many good products there as well.
Even out with this range, there's plenty there. There's plenty available. They'll guide you in the right direction. Don't be nervous about going in because they know their stuff and they will guide you to the right
That's
place.
the thing with the tasting packs, the orders that came in. There was worldwide. It wasn't just the UK. There was a lot of packs that went up to Europe, etc. as well. So, which was good to see. And their interest is there, and people want to learn about Cadenhead and taste the whiskies. And so, yeah, I mean, certainly I'll make all these whiskies available tonight to purchase. Just need to click that button later on for the undisclosed.
And even this range will be going to America and to
Singapore, South Korea, all over the world, Belgium, Netherlands. It's making its way there just now, and available in the UK shops.
New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah,
So it's going to make it around the world too.
So get in touch with your nearest importer. If you're not too sure who that could be, get in touch at info@ cadenhead.scot, and we will point you in the right direction.
Oh, we're getting slick at this.
I've never said that in my life. But no, we've got all the information here, and I suppose it's a reminder that don't be afraid to get in touch. We're all friendly people, believe it or not. And we're more than welcome to answer questions. And is there anything else just now?
No, just a lot of people saying, well, Ruth said she's looking forward to the festival.
Looking forward to seeing
We
you again,
all
Ruth.
are.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe says the Caol Ila was a perfect dram on a cold wintry night.
Excellent.
Yeah,
It's freezing here tonight.
It is.
Yeah, it's cold in this warehouse here.
Ruth says, I think the Heaven Hill is a favourite.
Excellent.
Ardmore was one of the 3 favourites as well. A lot of struggling between which ones to pick.
Well, that's also good. You know, like you like seeing that. You don't want to. I know it's always the cliche end of a tasting where you don't want one to be the ultimate winner, but it's true. You know, if everybody goes, oh, it's the Speyside, or it's going to be the Heaven Hill, or that's good. The fact that some people are saying it's the Caol Ila or the Ardmore or the Heaven Hill, you know, that's what you want. You want to make sure there's a good variety, so that it's
Something
not.
there for everyone.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's
I think
spot on.
these larger ratings, eventually, you know, we'll get to a point that there is the possibility that you will be able to come back and get another bottle. Just now, the odd one might sell out. But no, I think we're going to keep an eye on this. We follow trends quite a lot, and we're always looking out for our customers, believe it or not. You know, we listen to you a lot, what you are looking for, what you drink. We take it from there, so stock availability should be.
Yeah, and we're planning for future ones too.
Yeah, we're planning all the things.
So we're always purchasing, we're always re-racking, we're always trying to do cash management. So it's not a case of, you know, like we're stuck. We don't want to get complacent. We're always trying to move forward as well. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, obviously your sustainability and stuff as well to look forward to, and what else can we do to help the environment as well? So it's a big thing just nowadays as well. So.
Well, we stopped travelling for the last 2 years. So that's helped quite a bit, the carbon footprint there.
Glasgow next week.
Yeah,
all that way to Glasgow.
It's a 2-night stay as well. It's because it's such a far journey.
Yeah.
I told them they should go up on Saturday morning, back Saturday night. But anything else at all there, Jess?
No, just saying that they've enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. Really interesting to hear you talk about them all. Looking forward to visiting again soon. Always a pleasure listening.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks, Mum. But I think on behalf of us all, I think that just say a really big thank you to everyone who took the time to purchase a pack, to listen. If you're listening to tasting and you've been watching us, really appreciate it too, and also for all the support for Cadenhead too, and not just for ourselves, for all the markets that it's going to as well, the export markets, all the Cadenhead shops, all the.
I've got to say thank you as well.
Oh, it's only Nathan. Oh, you go there.
I've got to say a big thank you to Nathan. If it wasn't for Nathan, this wouldn't take.
Tremendous job.
It does. I always think, Joe. Thank you, Nathan.
He's keeping very quiet in the background.
You can speak, Nathan.
Well, I'm allowed to talk.
Yeah,
Cameron usually doesn't give me permission. No, this one's been a little easier than the warehouses, especially me and Grant have had to suffer through. It was that time we set up in a storm, wasn't it? So this is a lot easier.
A lot easier.
That's why he's not allowed to talk. That's But again, a big thank you, and I believe there's going to be availability of all the whiskies again coming up. To contact the shops, local importers, and also Cadenhead.shop will have them all too, as well as a select amount of the Speyside, I think.
Yes, they will have that. I mean, obviously, just remember, if it is sold out on .shop, please give one of the Cadenhead shops or your nearest retailer a call just to see if they've got any stock of it. So, yeah. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Sanjay Bhag.
Sanjay Bhag.
Cheers.